Our guest today is Kary Smith. Kary has a really interesting background. He went to school here at SUU. He graduated, and shortly after he graduated, he started a company called Mountain West Computers, which is right around the corner here, still running. He was one of the founding partners of that company, which he sold, and of course that's still operating. But that was just the start for Kary. He has been involved in many tech companies since then, several of which he has sold. He is currently the founding partner at a company called TouchMD. TouchMD is the fastest growing tech company in Cedar City, which puts it pretty high.
Whoa, whoa.
Pretty high on the list for fastest growing tech companies in southern Utah. Relatively recently, it spawned a sister company called Novi Homes. So it's no exaggeration to say that Kary Smith is the founding partner of two of the top fastest growing tech companies in southern Utah. We are super lucky to have with us today Kary Smith.
Thank you. All right, well, thank you very much. Just curious, I want to introduce myself. Tyler's been extremely kind and all the great things he said. My wife is Janet Jackson. Yeah, that's right, I married Janet Jackson. Now Janet Jackson Smith. She's awesome. Couldn't have found a better partner to go through life with. We have 4 kids. We have 7 grandchildren. I know you're way in the first part of your journey, but just let me tell you, when you get to my spot, the grandkids are the main reason you have your kids. My mentor is Frank Jackson. Frank Jackson is my father-in-law. He ran successful businesses in Las Vegas. He is from Richfield, Utah. He moved to Vegas when there was 50,000 people there. I know, hard to believe. And he started an auto parts company, which transitioned into a rental car company and an auto parts company and a part owner in all the cab companies down there. So the reason that I bring him up is because I owe him a lot. But the other reason that I bring him up is that if you're in business and you're looking at, just by a show of hands, how many of you have thought about an idea for a product? How many of you want to be your own boss? Okay. How many of you are on the track of starting a business? Okay, quite a few here. As you move along in your process, it's important that you find older people that have experience that can help you along your journey and not be shy about it. Now I'm so old that I'm in that category where I'm actually mentoring some of the students with ELC here, and very, very excited to be able to do that. But great mentors are great information, and they can help you from making a lot of mistakes in your journey. So it was really interesting when I saw the sign out there and it said that I had sold companies like Icon and Alpheon and Staples, which, you know, I just left it on the sign. I didn't say anything because I thought it might get more people here. But the fact is that I built companies and sold to those entities. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that today, about that process. I think it may be interesting to you. My wife and I, you know, our career highlights, really pretty much everything is build to sell. Early in our marriage, we purchased storage units, ran them, sold them. It moved to another property, which is Cornette's, which was then sold to Hearst, who run a store that you probably frequent there, that turned into another property that we manage, which is outdoor shopping malls. So in your journey, you're going to have a lot of opportunities to make a start and have it roll into something bigger and better. On the business side, at Mountain West Office Supply, which when I was your age, coming out of college, I wanted to have my own business. And so I had the choice of starting a computer business or one of my clients, Brian Jorgensen, who I was working for a company called Personal Business Computers. He said, I'd like you to start computers here, and I agreed to do that. But I told him the only way I'll do that is if I have a stake in the company. He allowed me to have a stake in the company. In the beginning, it was a small stake, and within 5 years, I owned the whole company. And during that time, we built a division that was a copier division, a Canon copier dealership that we sold Icon. We also built a office supply and computer company that got Staples' attention, and we were able to sell that to Staples. Staples was in town. They took me out. They put their company here in town, and they were kind of jerks. They wouldn't let me keep the computer company, which I wanted to. And technology has kind of always been my passion. And but they said no, and so Mountain West was spun off to Roger Hewlett, who is running Mountain West Computers today, and he's a great guy, and I'm glad he's doing good. It's great for him and his family. And then we built a software company, TouchMD, that we sold to a company called Alphion, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that situation. And lo and behold, we bought it back, and now we're Software 2.0. Tyler's talked about 2 companies that have spun out of one, which makes it really awesome, really fun, great opportunity. So, guess what? I'm one of you. I'm an SUU alum, and I took business classes right over there. And Mary Pearson is here. Her dad was one of my professors at the School of Business. Roger Hilliard, Harold Judd was our dean, and just one story about that. Anything's possible. The main thing that I want to make a point of today is anything is possible. Whether it's your schooling, whether it's the job you choose, and your upward track, or if you decide to start a business and want to make that your journey, anything is possible. I'm the most common of common people. Grew up in Twilla, Utah, came here on a football scholarship, never made it out of town, and I loved my business education. The one thing that happened to me along the way, though, is that I really wanted to have my own business. Ever since I had been in high school, that was one of my goals and one of the things I wanted to achieve. And at that point in time, when I was in college, I felt like all the curriculum was really based on having me work for somebody else, which didn't really love that idea. I would be willing to do it, but I really didn't love the idea. So now, fast forward to today, I'm so excited that they have an entrepreneur program in the School of Business. I mean, it's just absolutely awesome. So my GPA went down 1 full point, in my senior year because I was so frustrated with the fact that I couldn't learn how to run my own business and get out there. And now you've got the LC, you've got the entrepreneur program. You really got a lot going for you here that I'm really excited about. Don't ever undervalue your SUU diploma or your experience here. I feel like the hands-on experience you get here is invaluable. And what I mean by that is I meet with all the time with executives of major Fortune 500 companies, and I stand my ground with my little SUU graduation, with the Harvard guys, the Yale guys, everybody out there. And just know that this is the beginning. This is the beginning of your journey. And life is about learning. You're going to continually add and learn and grow and build upon your education. But this is a great education to have. So I just want to make sure you don't undervalue that. So I'm going to tell you a little story. I'm going to try to be fairly quick today on some of the things that we go through. While I was running Mountain West Office Supply, so one of the things that I have a problem with is, and I call myself a serial entrepreneur, and I look at that as somewhat of a sickness. Because even though you got something great going here and you're building this great company, I've always got to see what's going on over there, and my mind is going like, oh, I know this other product that would be great. I know another way to do something would be great. And so while I was running Mountain West, which is a very successful company, I had spun off the copier division. It was super for us and our family. And we were doing a little bit of real estate stuff, but I was in that day-to-day of running Mountain West Office Supply. And as an entrepreneur, one of the things that you have to guard against is boredom. Like, am I doing the same thing over and over every day? And so this guy came in that was doing regional advertising for me, and we talked about the 3 founders of TouchMD. And he was one of the guys that I knew. I knew his family. I knew his father-in-law. He and I were really good friends. And he came in and he said, oh, I forgot my pass rounds. He said, I've got this great business idea to put full motion video on a business card size CD. And I've got a guy that will do it, and we can get together. And I said, awesome. I said, I would be willing to look at this. I've got this that I'm doing. I've got my day job, but maybe I could finance that and help you guys along the way. And I said, go to bring me a business plan on Monday, and let's go over it. So he left. This is Jason Whitesides. He's one of my partners. Matt Marriott is the other partner. He went over to Matt and he said, hey, Kary asked for a business plan on Monday. He said, what's a business plan? So they got business plan for dummies. They put this great business plan together, they brought it in. I looked at it and I thought, oh my gosh, this is terrible. And I looked at it, but I knew the guys and I felt comfortable with them. And as you make your pitches to, I don't know who it'll be, private equity or VC or seed investors, whoever it happens to be as you're building your businesses, a lot of what they're going to invest in is you as a person. So keep that in your back pocket. So the plan was bad. The guys were good. I thought, this might be fun. And so I said, I'll finance this. And I became a silent partner to a company called Fusion Media. We just set up a company, away we went. They had these business card size CDs. And it's been like going on a journey of this is your life as I started putting this talk together for you today. And I had one of these business card CDs, one of the first ones we did for Canon. And I was going to let you pass it around and think, oh my gosh, I've never even heard of these. It's like a dial telephone. But that's how we started. And with that happening, business card CDs sucked. And that's what happens in business sometimes. You make a plan, you decide to get out there and push it forward. And it was cool that we could do it. And the idea was, instead of having a link to a website, we could put full motion video on business card CDs. And that was the holy grail. Compression and video at that point in time. Fast forward to, streaming video on the internet. We weren't, that's eons from where we were. But that was a cool concept. So we made a company about that. And then as a company, we just started throwing mud against the wall. So who could we do this for? We ended up doing a project for insurance. We did a project for the airline industry. We did a project for IHC out here for healthcare. And then we did a piece that turned from these business card size CDs to a full marketing CD, something that people could hand out. You could put in your computer and you could relive that experience. Now we have a thing called the internet, fast forward. And that's where you get all your information. But at that point in time, there was a problem. And we solved a problem. So for Ince Homes in St. George, they wanted to have a presence rather than a local presence. And now they were having buyers come from all over. So when you went to one of their events, a model home or a parade of home, they wanted to have something to give you when you left that would bring you back to their community. So we produced this for them. It was like a flagship product for it. It was awesome. And they handed it out, and one of the people they handed it out to was Pulte Homes. I don't know how many of you know who Pulte Homes are, but at the time they were the 3rd largest national builder in the United States. So Pulte Homes got it. They called us on the phone, said, would you come to work for us and put this type of product together for all our signature homes in the United States? We got off the phone, we all chest bumped and high-fived. We had a Fortune 500 company in the fold. We were so excited. We did a project for them. It was successful. Del Webb saw it, then KB Home saw it, DR Horton saw it, Jack Nicklaus Golf Design and Development saw it, and all of a sudden we had this stable of Fortune 500 clients that we were producing media for so that they could connect with customers, and we solved the problem that they had. So everything went great. Our problem, I've got a slide, but business is solving problems. And our problem at that point in time was, with all these major builders, real estate was moving at such an accelerated rate that everybody in their company was so upward mobile and moving through their organizations that we'd start a project on day one with one marketing coordinator. Within 15 days there'd be somebody else, and another 30 days there'd be somebody else. So all told, a 90-day project would take 180 days. So that's kind of hard on a business to have to cash flow for 180 days versus 90 days. Well, we had this light bulb go off and we said, okay, we can do the same thing with private developers that don't have all these people that are moving up the company ladder, and we'll get a project back where we want it at 90 days. So we did that, and we built the rest of that track with private developers, guys that had land and were building communities, and not just any communities, we went for the good ones. And we dropped that time back to 90 days. So along the way, again, solving problems, along the way, the market tanked. The whole real estate market tanked. They're giving loans to everybody, and nobody could pay their loans, and real estate just dropped to nothing. So, by the way, this is one of the projects that we did. This is kind of letting you see the interface. But this is for Red Ledges up in Heber. This is most everywhere they put in a Jack Nicklaus Golf Design signature course, they would marry us with the developer and we'd do the work for them. But so you can kind of see what the interface looked like. Well, this was the birth of next generation, next generation, next generation. So, pretty proud of that. So the real estate market tanked. We had all our money tied up with private developers in contracts, and everything stopped. Pulte quit buying property, they quit building. All the private developers basically went out of business. And so the three founders, Matt, Jason, and myself, were sitting in a room and looking at each other. Oh, one other thing. Pulte Homes gave us the best education you could possibly have. And you will have your customers give you great educations. But they let us understand exactly what goes on in the consumer mind. So that was part of that experience. So, TouchMD, we're three guys sitting in a room. We failed. We had $1.5 million in accounts receivable we couldn't collect. The guys were out of business, couldn't hire a lawyer and get the money because there was nothing to get. And I put oh crap, but at that point in time for us, it was way past oh crap. So we looked at each other and we said, what are we going to do? And we said, okay, we have an awesome skill set. We've been able to forge through a company with major clients. What's our next step? And we said, well, really sucks having an industry go into a recession and kill us. So let's look at something that's more recession-proof. And we picked medical. So at that point in time, we said, okay, we have this skill set. What kind of prototype can we build that will give us leverage in the medical industry? And how can we take those learnings, those things that we understood about the consumer mind, and apply them to another industry? So we put a prototype together. We put a business plan together. We put all our numbers around it. And we said, okay, if we had these four specialties, plastic surgery, dermatology, orthopedics, and OBGYN, then we would have a market size of about 180,000 that we could sell to. And if we got like 1% of the market at the price point that we were going to go after, we would have a huge company. So we built a prototype. We knew doctors in the local area. We went and showed them the technology from the prototype, basically taking that same interface you saw with real estate, transitioning it into medical. And we showed it to 4 different specialty doctors. And every one of them said, first one said, I've been trying to do this forever. I wish I had this. I've thought about how to do it myself. And we kind of put him back in his chair and he said, can I invest in the company? And then we had that same reaction from the other specialties. One was a plastic surgeon in St. George, one was a dermatologist, a group in St. George that we showed it to, and an orthopedic surgeon here in town. And all of those guys invested in the company and got us our start to recover from that huge loss that we had in the real estate and be able to forge forward as a new entity, a new company called TouchMD. I'm just going to go through and briefly show you what the technology is so that you can get a look at it. So what we do is we are on any type of touch technology. We have iOS apps for the iPad. We have Windows apps for touchscreen, any Windows-based touchscreen computer. And we build a technology that you can touch and really navigate our user interface that is iterated about 10 times to now to be able to give the patient an experience that will allow them to say yes to what the doctor is presenting to them. So visual consultation and marketing and imaging software. Along the way, one of the big problems that medical have in this arena is photography and taking consistent pictures. So we really didn't love what was out there. We integrate with everything that's out there, but we build our own. So we build our own technology for that. So it enhances the experience before, during, and after the consultation. And the way we do that is through a patient file, a patient account that allows the practice to communicate with them before the consultation, obviously during with the touch interface, and then after they go home to be able to deliver any type of information to them. And the great thing about it is we did some tests, market tests with practices, and it has a proven revenue generator. So everything up on the top is really pretty important, but this last one, this is the one that's super important. Because without proven revenue generation, nobody would buy it. So that was a big test and a big important part of our company growth. So this kind of gives you a visual. I'm not going to go through all that, but a doctor can sit with a patient. We call that the work triangle. They can show them what they're going to do. They can use their own images. They can use anatomical illustrations. They can bring stuff in from the pharma companies. Everything's HIPAA compliant. But we saw, which maybe you're seeing with some of these ideas, I saw a lot of people raise their hands about, I have an idea about a product. We saw a need in the marketplace for something that would improve that experience that you have while you're with the doctor. And that's what we built the company about. Right now, I think we're at 1,500 doctors. We might be 4 million right now. Last I looked, we were 3.9 something as far as patient growth. We're growing at about 80,000 patients per month, and that is outstanding in the aesthetic space. It's unbelievable. I talked about Snap, so we build an app that runs on iPads or on iPhones that allows you to take pictures of your patients when they come in, and it immediately goes into our technology so you can communicate about it. This is our platform showing before and afters, which is important to patients. Everything's touch friendly. The interface, Matt Marriott, who's our partner and over the whole technical side of the business, his interface capability, his graphical user design, he's just a master. We go through our trade shows and there's nobody that has the type of look that we have and the value of the look. We also build our own library of videos. I think there's 186 videos in the library that allow you to understand what a doctor is going to do, how they're going to do it, and what that procedure is all about, which is a value in the platform. Drawing capabilities can bring in any image up, whether it's yours, anatomy, someone else's, and they can draw on it or make notes and chart or whatever they want, just so that you can understand what's going to happen during your procedure. Oh, there it is again. TouchMD, as I mentioned, once the patient leaves the consultation, they can relive the consultation with friends and family or their husband that couldn't be in the appointment or wife, and be able to review this information when they go home, which has been extremely valuable and important to patients, and it helps practice with that revenue that I talked about. So in our tests, we had a 19% increase in consultation closures at the time of business. When you're doing $10 million as an aesthetic practice, and we had 19% on that, that's some real cheddar, and it has no additional cost to the practice. So you can see why they love it. We increase in what we call the add-on purchases, which is increasing the ticket size as well as upsell, cross-sell to other products, because now you're exposed to them. Like, I'm a guy, and before I got into this aesthetic thing, I just thought we got old and there was nothing you could do. Now I'm exposed to this big world of aesthetic procedures and understanding them, and it's pretty amazing, these devices and injections and all this stuff they can do. So it's been a fun ride just to learn an industry and what it's all about. And then obviously, without having any more bottom line costs, the top line cost brings a huge amount of revenue, increase in total revenue to the practice. Okay, so I'm kind of getting into the nuggets. And Moneyball, this, I don't know that this really has anything to do with it, I just really like this quote. But when you're running your business, or you're looking at an industry, or your internal workings of your company, it's so important that you understand what's going on. You got to learn the industry, you got to learn your product, you got to learn what your value proposition is. All those kind of things go into play when you're building your business. And so I just want you to keep that in mind. If you remember Moneyball, just make sure you're on top of what's going on. And if there's something you don't know, figure it out, get on the internet, go to your mentor, find out how you can be really good at solving problems. So the big sell and what happens next. So we built the company, and I'm just going to kind of give you a track here. When we did that little exercise of identifying our market and saying, okay, we need this percentage of market share, and that will give us this kind of revenue. And then we said, okay, what happens when we get there? Well, we want somebody to buy us, and we want to make lots of money. Isn't that why you guys are wanting to get into business? I want to make a little pocket cash and go to the, I won't say the Bahamas, I guess that's bad right now. Go to Cancun, go to Hawaii, but you want to look at those types of opportunities. So we looked at about a year in, and we said, okay, we're going to grow like this. And when we get there, how much will our company be worth in our estimation? And who will buy it? And so that's an important exercise as you're maybe not initial stage in your business, but as you're growing your business, to look at what is your exit? What is your exit opportunity with the company you're thinking about building? Maybe you don't ever want to sell it. It becomes this huge cash cow that just is making money like crazy, like you're Mark Zuckerberg, and you don't have to do anything. Just have this money coming in. Or maybe you want to sell it. And if you want to sell it, identify your targets. So when we decided we wanted to sell our company, we identified 3 targets in the aesthetic space. One is Allergan, who you may have heard of as a big company in the space. One was Valiant, who was new on the scene. They were from Canada. And their whole deal was, we only get 2% tax in Canada, so let's sell all our products out of Canada. Well, they were growing like wildfire. Doctors were investing in them. Wall Street was investing in them. They were growing like crazy. And they brought a whole new product set to the market. And we said, those are guys we might be interested in selling to. And then as this went on, there was a new kid on the block called Alphion out of Southern California. So started the company in 2010, started selling it. When we went to market, we did our first trade show. We said, okay, doctors will pay $37.5 for this, no problem. We've got proven revenue generation. We went to the show, we sold 3. Like, yes. And then we went out in the market. I'm like, I'm not paying $37.5 for that. And then we ended up finding out what our true price was, and it came in at around $20,000. So our model is to sell it for a CapEx purchase price of $20,000 with a $2,000 annual hosting and maintenance fee. So we have a CapEx sell and maybe you would call SaaS revenue. So that was our model. We could have gone to market with just a SaaS offering, $500 a month. Problem with that was we couldn't run the company, we'd be out of cash. So we had to make a decision on how we were going to go to market. So we did the cash, capital X purchase, plus the hosting. Worked out great for us. But if we had had more cash in the bank when we started, we probably would have done a SaaS, because then you don't have to worry about hunting and killing those sales every month. So that's what happened next. We built the company. We got an offer on the company. We were engaged in talks with all 3 companies, and we got an offer on the company, and we sold it. Yes! Fantastic day. We did the chest bump and the high five when we got our first Fortune 500 client as Fusion Media, but we popped the cork on the cider, bottle and shook it up, and we had a great day that day. So, really fun, great thing happened there. So then we sold the company, we negotiated it. We got over $20 million for the company when we sold it. And we got a 3-year, we had to agree to a 3-year employment with the company that bought us. And we went to work for them. And the reason that we picked these guys over Allergan or Valiant was because we felt like if they bought the company, they would dismantle it, they'd move it to New Jersey, they'd move it to Canada, and, c'est la vie to Cedar City. So we had these people that were so committed to us in helping us build our company that we just didn't feel like we could make that happen. And so we picked Alpheon because they had this cool word that they came up with called connectigration. And they said, we're going to connect you with the mothership, and we're going to give you financial resources and company resources, but we're not going to intrude on what you guys are doing and what you've built. We're going to let you keep going. Signed the deal and found out they're liars, dirty liars. And so they relegated Cedar City to development and customer service. They basically shelved us, and they had a bunch of people at the top that were just doing a land grab for TouchMD to try to build it and grow it. And they came up with this ingenious plan that we're going to have pharma reps sell technology. If you ever hear that in your dealings, say, no, that doesn't work. Some guy told me in a lecture at SUU, and I guarantee you it's true. They just don't understand tech. They have relationships, but they can't make it happen. So about a year in with that company, they said, oh, hey guys, over there in Cedar City, we really aren't doing so good selling. By the way, from what you sold the company to us at, we're at about 40% of your last year's sales. Can you come back and do sales and marketing too? So we did. And we started selling. We built the company back up. Well, the company that bought us crowdfunded $350 million from doctors. They took another $80 million in institutional. They picked up a toxin from Korea that's an equivalent to Botox, which is their flagship product. And then they bought a bunch of other companies. They bought us outright, and then they did a purchase with a pay over time with, I think, 6 other companies. And about this time, they just got way out over their skis and started spending so much money and had such a huge company burn without revenue that they just imploded. And when that happened, they took all the companies that they had bought over time and they said, you can have them back. We're spinning those out. And then they looked at us and they said, oh, what are we going to do with TouchMD? And that was kind of a problem. So we helped them solve the problem by saying, we'll be your distributors. We'll just be independent. We'll distribute your asset. We'll take a major portion of the revenue. We'll give you some of the revenue, and we'll enter into a distribution agreement while we figure out if we can buy it or not. And then they kept the toxin. So all the money they had left, their nest egg, they used to bring the toxin to market. So Then we went into negotiations to buy the company. And as of, I'm going to fast track, as of February last year, we were successful in reacquiring the company after 1 year of negotiations to reacquire. And they got a new CEO, and he was really difficult to deal with. And he came back and said, okay, you guys paid over $20 million. That's the price to buy it back. And we knew it was damaged goods at that point in time. And we just didn't agree to that, so it became this huge negotiation. I'm going to talk to you in a minute about negotiation. We ended up buying the company back for 15 cents on the dollar. And while we were buying it back, we came up with the idea to spin out a second company and for the TouchMD company to be able to pivot that company for a new revenue source through advertising from pharma companies on our platform, which we had grown to 1,500 practices, 4,000 screens, 3-point-something million patients having an experience, and we just looked at a new way to monetize that. And then our development company, our developers, our guys in town that are up in the top floor above Bullock Drug, just to the north there. There's 10 guys in there that are extremely capable. Just by way of our company, just a quick kudo to SUU. 80% of our employees are SUU grads. So our development team, our customer service team, our founder team, every one of our founder team are graduates of SUU. We believe HashiDev will be successful in the app development realm. Pharma companies now, as I'm meeting with them about our advertising model, I'm soliciting jobs for our app development company. Our medical software continues to grow in its current platform, but the point of care pivot has the ability we think over the next 4 years to create enough revenue to be a $100 million company. And then NoviHome is on track. The two companies are kind of fighting right now, not in a mean fight, but we're competing on who can do more faster. So it's created a really healthy internal environment. And these guys are just doing, Jason's taken, one of the founders taken that, one of the founders has taken that, and then I've remained with the TouchMD software. We have all our core competencies, we have all our distributed resources, and just going to be awesome. Fantastic. So we got 10 minutes. I should have saved some time for Q&A, but I'm just going to go through the nuggets. So one of the things as you're building your company and you go to an investor, you have this thought, do I want a big piece or a small piece of a big pie here, or do I want a small piece? Let's see, did I say that right? Big piece of a small pie, small piece of a big pie. When we first went out and we raised money for TouchMD in the beginning, somebody told me this and I'm like, whoa, dude, I want it all, And he had to explain to me, as I inject money into your company, you're going to grow, you're going to have to give up equity to have that. And this is maybe something that you've already learned or thought about, but it's something that I definitely got an education about. And I think it's important as you're building your company and you maybe need to take in some seed money, that you understand that money is going to help you grow, and your pre-money value will be one number, your post-money value will be another number. And so this kind of shows a round, it shows the founders, it shows the seed round. They've given up this much equity, but the founders' value has gone from really unknown to this number. As they've grown and they've become more successful, their value goes up, and their value goes up through multiple rounds of financing. In our company, we had the same experience. So when we sold the company, I'd like to say I got all the money, but I didn't. We shared it. And the one thing that I'll say from this nugget is hold on to your equity, cherish it. And I've had some kids that I've mentored, and they said, I'm thinking about bringing this partner on for 50%. Really question your equity play when you're working with your seed money, your second stage money, and get people you can trust. All right. Show me the money. Sales, revenue. Most important part of growing your company. So whatever product you're looking at bringing to market, make sure that there's a large enough market to buy your product to make you extremely successful. And you know, we had when I was in Mountain West, we had the credo, sales cures all ails. So you can make a lot of mistakes on the back end and make some bad purchase decisions or whatever. But if you have the sales revenue to cover that, you're still going to be viable and going. This one is when opportunity knocks. It's not don't be afraid to open the door. Don't be afraid to knock down the door. So when you see it and you feel it and it's something that's speaking to you, I love the industry, I love what it could mean for me, knock the door down. Personal business computer story real quick. I was the first employee for the first computer company in the state of Utah. Their second location was in Cedar City. Why? I don't know. But I had a manager there that was very good at PR, but he hated everything else. So he said, Kary, you're the first employee. I want you to do the repair. I want you to do the sales. I want you to do the accounts payable. I want you to do the accounts receivable. As a matter of fact, I want you to sweep the floor, clean the toilet, do everything. Well, instead of getting mad about that, I said, all right, I don't know how to do those things very well. This could be great for me. And it was. This gave me the foundation of every internal part and workings of a company because of him not hiring other people or taking on some of that responsibility. I got the most valuable education that I could get in that experience. So you're going to all seek jobs. Look at what it can do for you. Look at what it can give you as far as furthering your knowledge, furthering your experience. And when you get those jobs, make sure you pick the ones that are going to give you that. I've got a bunch of other things here. We kind of talked about them. Every one of these were great opportunities, and if I would have just said, oh, I don't know, that sounds pretty good, versus going into it with all my heart and everything I had, none of them would have been as successful as what they were. Next thing I want to say is you don't get what you deserve. Just fact of life, you get what you negotiate. So if you're not good negotiators, get to a spot where you can be, because it's really important. I'm just going to give you one example. I had some storage units. I made an offer on them. They're here in town. We had storage units early on in our time. I made an offer on them for $264,000. An insurance company had taken them back. It was like they were owned by the bank. And I thought, this is a pretty good price. I called my brother-in-law. I said, do you want to go in, partners? He said, yeah, I'll do it. I made the offer. And they didn't accept it. They said, that's way too low. You know, I was negotiating a low price. Well, I ended up buying those same storage units a year later for $155,000. And so be patient with your purchases, understand the market, and the reason that happened is they set for a little bit longer, but then I did more research on my side to understand really what the cash flow was, and I went back to them with all my numbers, and I said, I know I offered you this, I was stupid, but here's a real legitimate offer, and you can get it off your books, and this is why I'm making this offer. It cash flows this way, and they accepted it. That was a great asset for our family. So had I not negotiated that and been strategic about that negotiation, I probably would have left $500,000 on the table on that particular deal. The TouchMD repurchase, like I say, they started at 20 something million, and we ended up buying that asset back for $3 million. So, and they were pretty adamant, but we fought with them, and it wasn't easy. And it didn't happen right away. They didn't say, oh yeah, we'll take this low price. But then we had to let them know why we were offering that low price, and then we all came to an agreement. So it was great. The next nugget, and I don't have enough time to tell the story, but my son and I went gator hunting. You know, we turned into swamp people, and it was so awesome. And on the last day when we were getting this gator, how much time do we have? Just 3 minutes?
You got as much time as you want.
All right. So we go gator hunting, and we've got a gator in the locker. Our Our guy's name was Bubba, you know, just total. You've seen it, Swamp People with Troy. Well, Bubba was our Troy. And was super exciting to do. It was fun. And we got in the last day and we had this opportunity to get this gator, and we had put out the bait, and I said to my son, you know what would be awesome is if we could get one more. We had to catch a flight. And he goes, yeah, that'd be awesome, Dad. And I said, what I'd like to do is be the guy that pulls it up and fights the gator, and you'll be the one that takes him out. He said, yeah, that'd be awesome, Dad. And so we get there, the rope's there, the rope's down, so I get to start fighting this gator, and this thing's wailing, it's spinning, it's biting the side of the boat, having a great time, and he puts him down, and there's a lot more to the story than that, but they put this gator in the boat, and it's a center console boat with a seat about this big, and my son and I both have to sit on it, so it's like one cheek each, you know, half off, and they put this gator right on the side of the boat where I'm sitting, and I'm okay with that. You know, I can see that there's a shot in the top of the head. That's how you take a gator down, as you shoot him right at the top of the head. Well, took everything we had to get him in. He flops in. He's laying there, and we start driving out of this big canal and river that we've been in. Well, all of a sudden, I'm going along, and his leg goes like this. I'm freaked out because I'm the guy sitting by him, right? My leg's over the top of him. His arm goes like that. And I'm like, hey, Bubba. This gator's arm just moved, and he's like, talking like a total Florida redneck. That's a reptile. It's just what they do. Relax. Okay. Does it again. Then all of a sudden his eye opens up. Like, Bubba! His eye opened up. He throws his head back and he says, that's a gator. It's a reflex. So it's what they do. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, sure. Well, I'm a hunter. I'm a Western hunter. I've been around a lot of game, and I know when it's dead and I know when it's not. And so I poke his eye, and he closes his eye. And my son's looking at me, and he's annoyed because he's on Bubba's side, and he's like, Dad, what's wrong with you? Grow up. Knock it off. And so long story short, we get back to the camp. We get back to the dock. I jump off the boat. I don't want anything to do with it. We get in the truck, and they're all just thinking, you know, city slicker. We get back to the yard. They have a winch that they're going to pull him up on, and they get this gator about 7 feet off the ground, and he goes into a death roll, and he breaks the springs off the winch. Everything goes flying. The gator flops down. There's a big group of rednecks that have come around to see this big gator, and Bubba says, "Call dang, I guess he's still alive." Goes up and takes care of him. So the moral to my story is, in business, snakes everywhere. Hate snakes. So I'm looking at them in trees. We're watching them go through the water. In business, there's a lot of snakes, and there's a lot of gators. And you got to keep your eye on them. And even if you got to poke them in the eye. So when you're running your business, all these different experiences were based on working through problems from people that were either dishonest or didn't. Right now we have a company out of Switzerland that is trying to lay claim to our patent trademark on Novi Home. And that's what they do. They find your trademark, they get with Apple and say they filed before you, and so they're really positioning themselves for us to have to buy our logo back from them. So there's a lot of gators out there. You just got to keep your eye on them. We're going to win, by the way. We've got all the documentation. We're going to be great. Last nugget. This is the best book that I've ever seen on setting objectives for your company and measuring your growth and your responses to your objectives. So put it on your radar. I could talk to you about this for an hour. It's something that I found that I wish I would have had day one. So I recommend it highly. Thank you. Last thing, ordinary talent and extraordinary perseverance. All things are possible. I'm not extraordinary. I'm pretty ordinary, but I got a lot of perseverance, and you can too. Thank you very much.
So it's that last. I can't hide how much I like this guy. It's that last comment that really is one of the things that I most admire about Kary. Extraordinarily successful, but he just acts like he's one of us. You're not one of us.
Oh, I am. I truly am.
So we're really grateful to have you here. Kary, by the way, he's part of the Entrepreneur Leadership Council. This is a group that supports entrepreneurship on campus. Several people in this room have their business is getting going because of donations that Kary has made and support and advice that Kary has facilitated. So he doesn't just talk the talk and walk the walk in business. He is one of our best alum and most supportive. So with that in mind, we'd like to present him with the Cedar Award and thank him again for coming.